Look, you don't understand.
I hate
Go
to
away.
trouble you.
Remember when showing a successful black family living large in a Manhattan high-rise was revolutionary for television? That was the Jeffersons. What started as a spin-off about Archie Bunker's no-nonsense neighbor became a TV landmark full of big laughs, bigger personalities, and a theme song that still slaps. George and Louise weren't preaching. They were thriving, and in the process they gave America something it hadn't really seen before. A successful black couple who argued, danced, threw shade, and ran their own business unapologetically. Norman Lear didn't just create a hit. He created a cultural touchstone that pushed boundaries through humor, heart, and some of the best verbal sparring in sitcom history. Today, we're counting down 14 facts about the Jeffersons, from surprising behind-the-scenes stories to unexpected connections that'll make you want to fire up a rewatch. Now, before we get started, hit like and subscribe. It helps the algorithm show this to more retro TV fans just like you, and trust us, you'll want to stick around for number 1, because that George Jefferson dance, turns out, it's pure Philly magic. Number 14, Sherman Hemsley had a funky side hustle and it was wild. Turns out when he wasn't busy roasting people as George Jefferson, Sherman was off in his own world vibing to jazz, soul, and, wait for it, British progressive rock. Yeah, you heard that right. See, Sherman wasn't just playing a character with expensive taste. The man had serious musical chops. He was a trained jazz keyboardist, released his own funky R&B album in '92 called Dance, even showed up on Soul Train to perform this wild track called Ain't That a Kick in the Head, and honestly, it was both totally old school and completely out of left field. But here's where it gets really good. Sherman's musical obsession didn't stop at funk and jazz. This man was completely hooked on prog rock. We're talking Gentle Giant, Gong, Nectar, bands that made songs longer than most sitcom episodes. His absolute favorite? Yes. And no, I don't mean yes like he agreed with something. I mean the British band Yes. The ones who wrote 10-minute cosmic journeys about time loops and probably did way too many drugs in the 70s. He loved them so much, he reportedly had a shrine to them in his house. A shrine, people! And get this, he actually tried to collaborate with their lead singer John Anderson on some tracks. They were never officially released, but come on! A George Jefferson John Anderson psychedelic buddy album? That would have been the weirdest crossover in entertainment history. Oh, and remember that scene where George busts a move to some groovy music in the apartment? That wasn't just random background music. He was literally dancing to Show Me the Way by Nectar, one of Sherman's personal favorites that he somehow got into the show. Oh yeah, the man behind one of TV's most iconic characters had a serious ear for the deep cuts and experimental sounds. George Jefferson may have moved on up to the east side, but Sherman Hemsley, he was operating on a completely different wavelength. Number 13, the apartment's floor plan made no sense at all. On TV, the Jeffersons' apartment looked like a dream. Elegant living room, sleek kitchen, bedrooms tucked away in the back. But if you ever tried to mentally map out that place, you'd realize it's a complete spatial disaster. Let's start with Lionel's room. It was supposed to be right off the living room, next to that little closet. Problem is, if his room actually existed there, it would have to be about the size of that closet. Maybe slightly bigger if we're being generous. Anything more and the walls would have jutted out into the building's hallway, so either Lionel had the tiniest bedroom in Manhattan, or he was literally sleeping in an optical illusion. Then there was the back corner of the apartment where both the master bedroom and Florence's room were supposedly located, except that was also where Mr. Bentley's apartment was, which meant somebody was lying and it was probably the set designers. One dedicated fan actually drafted a blueprint trying to make sense of the layout and to fit the Jefferson space. Bentley's apartment had to shrink down to an 8x4 foot broom closet. That poor man was hosting dinner parties in what was basically a walk-in pantry. Bottom line is this, the apartment looked gorgeous on camera, but if you tried to build it in real life, the fire marshal would shut you down immediately. Unless George secretly owned a few interdimensional crawl spaces. This deluxe apartment in the sky was basically a spatial paradox with really nice furniture. Number 12. Florence moonlighted for 2 years. Florence Johnston could throw shade, scrub a floor, and drop one-liners sharp enough to cut diamonds.
I'm sorry, boss! I get it!
But Marla Gibbs? She was doing all that and still working the evening shift at United Airlines. Yeah, for the first 2 seasons of The Jeffersons, Gibbs spent her days filming one of the biggest sitcoms on television and her nights handling airline reservations. Why? Well, because she didn't trust Hollywood. As she told the Washington Post, a bird in the hand is worth 20 in the bush. Translation, sitcoms get canceled, but flight benefits? Well, those are solid.
But did I hear that you were working for United Airlines at the time of you getting the show and doing the show?
I had been with United for 11 years.
What?
So I was not eager to give up my free passes.
Okay.
And here's the crazy part. Florence was only supposed to appear once, but Gibbs was so sharp, so funny, and so perfectly sarcastic that the writers immediately made her a regular.
Folks mind if I ask you something?
No, go right ahead.
You live in this apartment, right?
Uh-huh.
And you got an apartment in this building too?
Yes, that's right.
Well, how come we overcame and nobody told me?
So picture this. She'd spend the day in full sitcom mode, zipping through scripts and roasting George Jefferson like a pro, then head straight to United for her night shift. Imagine juggling flight reservations and TV rehearsals and absolutely nailing both. By the time she finally quit the airline, Florence wasn't just a supporting character anymore, she was part of the heart of the show. Cool, cutting, and completely unforgettable, and honestly, that work ethic probably made her even better at delivering those legendary burns. Number 11. Wait, Helen Willis is his what?
Everyone knows your mom was Roxy Roker from the Jeffersons. Did you see the reboot of the Jeffersons that Jimmy Kimmel and the team did?
I did. Oh, I love seeing that picture. Yeah, I did. Kerry Washington did an amazing job portraying Helen Willis. It was really fun to watch.
You thought Helen Willis was just the calm, stylish half of TV's first interracial sitcom couple? Well, plot twist, she also gave birth to a rock star. Roxy Roker is the mother of Lenny Kravitz. Yeah, that Lenny Kravitz. The guy who made leather pants a lifestyle choice and somehow convinced an entire generation that scarves the size of patio umbrellas were high fashion. Before Lenny was shredding guitars shirtless at music festivals, Roxy was stealing scenes on The Jeffersons with her cool confidence, razor-sharp comebacks, and that legendary side-eye every time George got too loud.
I just wanted to show you what the old George used to be like.
I can still remember what the old George used to be like, as if it were only yesterday.
It was only yesterday.
That perfect mix of calm and charisma definitely runs in the family. And if you've ever seen Lenny's daughter Zoe Kravitz, you're looking at the Roker DNA in full effect. Pure charisma, stage presence, and that unbothered excellence that just can't be taught. When Zoe hosted SNL in 2022, Lenny posted about how surreal it felt watching her perform in the same NBC building where his parents first met. Yeah, NBC News is where Roxy and Cy Kravitz found each other. Talk about workplace romance paying off. Oh, and here's a fun bonus fact. Roxy is also Al Roker's cousin. Apparently NBC just has a thing for hiring Rokers, so the next time you're blasting Fly Away or Are You Gonna Go My Way, just remember that swagger, soul, and undeniable stage presence, it all started with Helen Willis. Number 10, the forgotten spin-off that flopped in 4 episodes. Now, if you blinked in 1981, you probably missed Checking In, the short-lived Jefferson spin-off that lasted a whopping 4 episodes. That's right, 4, as in 1 for each wall of the hotel set. It holds the dubious honor of being one of the shortest-lived spin-offs ever launched from a major hit sitcom.
Oh, don't be silly. If it was Emmeline, she wouldn't knock on the door. She'd walk right through it.
Maybe you're right. I guess all this ghost talk is silly. Florence, open the door.
The idea seemed solid enough. Give fan favorite Florence Johnston a promotion, moving her from George's maid to executive housekeeper at a fancy hotel.
Okay, look, this is your big chance. You may never get another one. Everybody's given a certain number of years on this earth. You've already used up most of yours.
On paper, not terrible. In practice, an absolute disaster. Turns out Florence without George Jefferson was like Tom without Jerry. Technically still around, but all the chaos, spark, and actual reason you tuned in is completely gone.
What are you doing with that apple? I was thinking
going fishing tomorrow and I'm looking for a worm.
Their verbal sparring and mutual disrespect was the comedy.
George Jefferson is unfair. He's short with no hair.
Take Florence out of that dynamic, plop her in some generic hotel with brand new characters, and the whole thing just fell flat.
Some chairs, a bed, a bathroom. See?
Am I?
In one episode, she had to deal with a flute-playing ghost. We would say hilarity ensued, but it really didn't. The show leaned hard into slapstick and cartoonish hijinks, totally missing the grounded wit that made the Jeffersons work in the first place. After CBS mercifully pulled the plug, Florence returned to the Jeffersons like she'd just stepped out to grab some groceries. No mention of the hotel or the ghost. The writer simply said the place burned down, and that was that. Florence walked back into the Jeffersons' apartment, and America welcomed her back like none of it ever happened. Because deep down, we all knew the truth. Florence didn't need a promotion, she just needed George to argue with. We covered this disaster along with other forgotten spin-offs in a previous video, links in the description. Number 9, George's brother was a decoy. Norman Lear knew exactly who he wanted to play George Jefferson from day one, Sherman Hemsley. That voice, strut, and attitude. Lear saw Hemsley in Purely on Broadway and thought, that's my George.
Look at it. Girl or no girl. I ain't getting mixed up in no more of your nightmares now. I got my own.
The problem was, Hemsley was locked into his Broadway contract and wasn't about to bail on his stage run just to trade insults with Archie Bunker. So Lear pulled a fast one. He brought in veteran actor Mel Stewart to play Henry Jefferson, George's brother. Same attitude, same energy, just not actually George.
Edith, I have a confession to make to you. This isn't my husband.
It is.
That's not your husband.
No, George didn't want to have dinner with you either.
Henry showed up at the Bunker house first, basically serving as George's placeholder while Hemsley finished on Broadway.
What makes you think God isn't black? Well, because I was made in God's image. And you'll note that I ain't black. Well, don't complain to me about it.
And it worked so well that to this day, people think Mel Stewart was the first actor to play George Jefferson. No, he was playing Henry the whole time. Once Hemsley was free, Henry just disappeared. Poof! He was never seen on the Jeffersons, though they did mention him occasionally. Fun fact, Henry's son Raymond did show up on the spinoff played by Gary Coleman. Yeah, Arnold himself had a Jefferson family connection. Anyway, the whole Henry-George thing wasn't some casting mess-up, it was Lear playing the long game to get exactly the actor he wanted. That's pretty sneaky of you, Norman. Number 8, the theme song was written from the heart.
Well, we're moving on up to the east side.
One of the most iconic theme songs of the 1970s wasn't cranked out by some music exec or jingle factory. It came from Janae Dubois, aka Willona from Good Times, and it started with a promise to her mother. When Norman Lear asked Dubois to write a theme for his new sitcom about a dry cleaner, he barely gave her any details, but she didn't need them. Dubois had her own story of moving on up, and she poured every bit of it into those lyrics. Her dream was simple: give her mother Lillian a better life. A real home, a view, a place in the sky. That dream became the heartbeat of the entire song. The result was pure gospel-fueled greatness. Co-written by Jeff Barry and performed by Dubois herself, the track featured a 35-member choir and powerhouse backup singer Orrin Waters. Yeah, the same Orrin Waters who later sang on Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen, beans don't burn on the grill.
And here's the beautiful part. When Lear heard it, he immediately said, "That's the one." Even though Dubois had no clue what the show was really about, she'd somehow captured its entire spirit perfectly.
It's a whole lot of trying just to get up that hill.
That opening line isn't just catchy, it's the soul of the show. A perfect mix of struggle, hustle, and triumph, all wrapped up in a 70-second gospel anthem that still gives you goosebumps today. For 11 seasons, that song didn't just set the tone, it absolutely owned it. Now, since you're still here, go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this with a friend who loves retro TV. Now, back to our deluxe countdown with number 7, Isabel Sanford made Emmy history.
And the winner is Isabel Sanford.
In 1981, Isabel Sanford walked onto the Emmy stage and straight into the history books as the first black woman to win Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. But here's the kicker. She almost didn't join the Jeffersons at all. When Norman Lear offered her the spinoff, Sanford wasn't exactly jumping at the chance. She was perfectly happy on All in the Family. It was steady work, a great cast, and a beloved character, so why rock the boat? Then the producers decided to give it to her straight. According to Sanford, the casting director basically said, well, if you don't do it, we'll just have to get someone else to play Louise. Translation, Louise Jefferson was moving to Manhattan with or without her, so Isabel figured if Wheezy was moving on up, she'd better be the one packing the bags. Best decision she ever made. Because Isabel Sanford wasn't just funny, she had serious range. She could deliver a perfectly timed zinger 1 minute, then completely break your heart the next. Louise wasn't just George's long-suffering wife, she was the emotional center of that whole show. Her Emmy win in '81 wasn't just a trophy on the shelf, it was recognition that had been a long time coming. Not just for Isabel's incredible talent, but for what it represented. Black actresses could absolutely carry primetime network sitcoms and deserved to be front and center while doing it, and Isabel proved it every single week. Number 6, Mother Jefferson deserved better.
Listen to me, Mama. I'm not gonna let you marry this guy.
Why should I listen to you? You didn't listen to me when I told you not to marry Louise.
Zara Cully brought a whole new level to tough love as George's sharp-tongued, no-nonsense mother. Always dressed like she had somewhere important to be, Mother Jefferson could slice you to ribbons with a smile and make it look like a compliment, but behind the scenes, Cully was quietly fighting lung cancer. She missed most of season 3 due to her illness, and in 1978, during the show's 4th season, she passed away at 86.
How you feeling? Mwah.
It hurts.
Well, a broken ankle is supposed to hurt.
It's not my ankle that hurts, it's my behind.
Her final episode aired just a few months before her death, and here's where things get frustrating. While the show did acknowledge her passing in the storyline, it was basically a footnote. In the season 5 episode Homecoming, Louise casually drops that Tom was kind after Mother Jefferson died. That's it. No big emotional scene, no tearful goodbyes, just a throwaway line while they're talking about something else. They mentioned it again briefly in another episode that season, but that was about it. For a character as iconic as Mother Jefferson and an actress who'd been with the show since day one, the whole thing felt like an afterthought.
Wait, Mother Jefferson, George didn't mean what he said.
I'm sorry, Louise, I'm going. George, I used to die for you when you were a baby. You were a mess then, and you're still a mess.
Now look, we get it, TV was different back then. Shows didn't always do the big send-off episodes we expect today, but after all the sass, scheming, and perfectly timed insults Mother Jefferson delivered over the years, Zara Cully deserved way more than a casual mention and a quiet fade to black. She made Mother Jefferson unforgettable. Too bad the show didn't give her the farewell to match. Number 5, the kiss that made CBS nervous. Picture this. It's 1975 and CBS executives are having a complete meltdown over a kiss. Not because it was too steamy, not because it was inappropriate, but because Tom and Helen Willis, a married couple, happened to be interracial. Apparently, watching a white man and a black woman show actual affection on television was enough to make the network suits break out in a cold sweat. In the very first episode of The Jeffersons, Tom and Helen share a perfectly normal married couple kiss. But when the CBS brass saw the rough cut, they wanted it gone faster than you could say ratings disaster. These guys were about as ready to integrate the airwaves as they were to give up their 3 martini lunches.
What matters is not what passes across our minds. It's how we live our lives together. Baby, we've been doing that pretty good.
Damn good.
Thankfully, not everyone at CBS was living in the Stone Age. Fred Silverman, the president of CBS Entertainment, took one look at the executives' panic and basically said, nope, the kiss stays, and Norman Lear? Please. The man who gave us Archie Bunker wasn't about to blink over a little smooch. That moment of affection might look like nothing now, but in 1975, it was television saying deal with it. Right from episode 1, the Jeffersons was serving notice that they weren't here to make anyone comfortable, and honestly, good for them. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is just show people being normal. Number 4, the original Lionel disappeared and then came back. Do you remember when Lionel Jefferson just showed up one season with a completely different face? Well, believe it or not, this wasn't your typical TV recasting drama. Mike Evans, the original Lionel, actually chose to walk away, and his reasons were pretty solid. First off, the guy was busy making TV history somewhere else. Mike wasn't just an actor, he was a creator. While he was cracking wise as Lionel, he was also co-writing and co-creating Good Times with Eric Monty. Yeah, that Good Times. So basically, while George Jefferson was yelling about moving on up, Mike Evans was behind the scenes building one of the most iconic black sitcoms of the entire decade.
I'm a born leader. I mean, this dude is dynamite. Great. When can I meet this guy? Well, he ain't around now, so would you like to meet my father instead?
But here's the other thing. He wasn't thrilled about how Lionel was getting pushed to the sidelines. According to Good Times star Jimmy Walker, Mike went straight to Norman Lear and basically said, "I want more lines." Problem was, George and Louise were absolutely dominating every scene, and Lionel, who'd been a breakout character on All in the Family, was getting less and less to do. So Mike walked away after the first time aired in April of 1975. That September, Damon Evans, no relation, stepped in with a completely different energy. Where Mike had been cool and charismatic, Damon's version came across as more uptight to a lot of viewers.
But only because I wouldn't ask, not because you tell me not to ask.
What?
I mean, the man in the marriage decides these things.
We covered this and other actor swaps in a previous video, the link's in the description. Anyway, the audience's reaction was pretty mixed. Many fans had gotten attached to Mike's smooth portrayal and weren't buying the replacement. They found Damon's Lionel whiny compared to Mike's laid-back vibe, though some newer viewers didn't even realize there'd been a switch until Mike came back. And yeah, he did come back. In 1979, after Good Times wrapped, Mike Evans returned to reclaim his role. He stuck around for a couple more seasons and kept popping up as a guest all the way through 1985. Mike passed away in 2006, way too young, at just 57 years old, but his impact on television as both a performer and a creator really deserves recognition. The man wasn't just playing a character, he was actively shaping the future of black sitcoms one script at a time. Number 3, the Panthers walked in and the Jeffersons moved up. Now, here's a plot twist worthy of a Norman Lear sitcom. The Jeffersons might never have existed if it weren't for 3 members of the Black Panther Party walking into Lear's office one day, and yeah, this actually happened. According to Lear's autobiography, the Panthers showed up to have a conversation about how black people were being portrayed on television, specifically on Good Times. Their message was pretty straightforward. Every time you see a black man on TV, he's dirt poor. That's not reality, and we don't like it. And honestly, they did have a point. In the early 70s, black families on television were almost always shown struggling, dealing with poverty, discrimination, or just barely scraping by. Even Good Times, for all its good intentions, was about a family trying to survive in a Chicago housing project.
Hold on there, Buster. Nobody puts my kids down around here but me. Tell the Lord you're sorry, kids. Sorry, Lord!
Lear actually listened, and what he did next was pretty revolutionary for its time. He created a show about a successful black family, one that had earned its way into a deluxe apartment in the sky. George Jefferson owned a chain of dry cleaning stores. Louise ran their home, and they weren't anybody's sidekicks or victims. They were rich, sharp, and completely unapologetic about it.
Somebody said if you come from the Dagomba branch of the Ashantis, you come from kings.
Say what?
Kings.
You jive me.
Yes. No. Dr. Uko is an authority, and according to him, you are descended from African royalty.
Royalty?
For once, America got to see a black family that wasn't just surviving, they were absolutely thriving. So credit where it's due. The Jeffersons may have spun off from All in the Family, but it took a visit from the Black Panthers to make it truly groundbreaking. Number 2, the show's cancellation was disrespectful. Now, you'd think after 11 seasons, 253 episodes, and a theme song America still hums in the shower, CBS would have had the basic decency to tell someone the show was ending.
Couldn't we play something else?
Yeah, let's play pin or tail on the honky.
Nope. The Jeffersons was canceled in 1985 without so much as a phone call, and the cast found out the same way you discovered Dunkaroos were discontinued, from the damn news. Sherman Hemsley read it in the newspaper. Isabel Sanford got a call from her cousin. Franklin Cover found out watching Entertainment Tonight, one of TV's most groundbreaking sitcoms got ghosted harder than a bad Tinder date. So, what happened? Well, CBS made a brilliant strategic move that year. They yanked the Jeffersons from its Sunday night home, where it had been thriving for years, and dumped it on Tuesday at 8 p.m., right up against the A-Team. George Jefferson versus Mr. T, guess how that went? The ratings crashed from number 19 to number 59 in one season, and instead of giving the show time to find its footing, or hell, even a proper goodbye, CBS just pulled the plug. No finale episode, no wrap party, no bittersweet farewell, just poof. One day they were moving on up, and the next they were off the air.
You know something? Even today when me and Weezy hold hands, I always get that same feeling.
So do I, George.
The last episode wasn't even supposed to be a finale. It was called Red Robins, and it had George trying to win Dry Cleaner of the Year by helping some scout troops sell candy. That's how this legendary show went out, not with a bang, but a candy sale. For a show that broke barriers, smashed stereotypes, and delivered laughs for over a decade, this exit was straight up disrespectful. Even Mr. Belvedere got a proper finale. Mr. Belvedere! Let that sink in. Number 1, Hemsley brought a bit of Philadelphia to his famous dance. That iconic George Jefferson dance, the shoulder bob, the knee wiggle, the part where he looks like he's dodging invisible bees, that wasn't choreographed by some Hollywood dance coach. That was 100% pure Philly flavor.
Well, don't just stand there, shorty. Get down.
Sherman Hemsley once revealed that his signature strut was inspired by a local move called the Slop, a South Philly step he picked up from a friend back in the day. And this wasn't just some random shuffle. The Slop was a full-blown R&B dance craze that started in Philly in 1956 when Little Joe and the Thrillers scored a hit with Let's Do the Slop.
Slop, slip, slop, slop, oh baby, come on, let's do the slop.
No fancy choreographer, no Hollywood polish, just Sherman, some muscle memory, and pure neighborhood swagger. And once he broke it out on national TV, it was magic. You didn't even need music, just that dance and George Jefferson's oversized ego, and you had television gold. It was part confidence, part chaos, and pure charisma all rolled into one ridiculous rhythm. It wasn't just a running gag, it was a power move. George could be furious, smug, or downright victorious, and that dance still worked perfectly. Honestly, it was the ultimate Jeffersonian mic drop. So yeah, Sherman Hemsley gave us a sitcom legend, but more importantly, he gave us a dance that still lives rent-free in our heads decades later. There was no stunt double, no studio choreography, just South Philly soul served with a side of sass. Try explaining that to your dance instructor next time they get excited about jazz hands. And there you have it, 14 weird and wild facts about the Jeffersons. So which of these facts blew your mind? Which one made you want to rewatch the entire series in a bathrobe and slippers? Let us know in the comments section below, and if you learned something new or just came for the theme song, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time, this is Remember When.